Hi, this presentation is on the whole brain teaching method, also known for short as WBT. My name is Brian Winiger. Some of my closest friends call me Mr. B. I am a grad student with Concordia University, and this presentation was originally made for a class that I'm participating in, a class about classroom management styles and methodology for teaching in different scenarios. If you have interest in whole brain teaching method, stay tuned. I'm going to show you some background information about it, some key components to the strategy, along with an example of it, and then a few advantages and drawbacks to the teaching method, and lastly, some implications that you may need to be thoughtful about if you want to apply this to your classroom. So let's get right into it. Originally, this was developed around 1999 by 3 teachers from California. It was to promote high energy so the kids can burn off some of that excess energy they have. There's game-like challenges, so teachers will keep a tally on a board, which gets students sometimes interested more wanting to participate and rack up some scores, maybe win a prize or notoriety. So they use motivational methods, keywords that trigger responses, because essentially it's to elicit those spoken responses from students and getting to participate in the learning process. From the wholebrainteaching.com website, I found this here 5-step placard or card that you could print off if you're a teacher. And this is one of the variations of the teaching method. I have seen videos of teachers doing it slightly different, but essentially you start with, you introduce a topic with a question, and then you're going to, along with that, give answers with gestures, hand gestures that you're going to be using. And you'll see them up here on these placard, like different hand gestures that they may use. There's plenty more. If you look at the websites, you'll see lots of different hand gestures that can be incorporated with words, because it helps connect that motion with the words and triggers more brain activity that then can help the learning process with those students. Then there's going to be expanding your main topic with key ideas. The teacher then is going to try to assess, which may just be walking around the room to see if everyone's interacting well, because there may be a moment where you have the students working with each other, teaching each other the topics, and so you could easily just walk around the room to assess to see if they're all on topic, or if you have to rewind a little bit, get them back to a brief moment beforehand, get them to start over. Or the assessment could be something like a true and false test, quick one, where you tell the students, okay, close your eyes, and now thumb up for true, thumb down for false, thumb sideways if you don't know. And as a teacher, you can ask them 5 to 10 questions and just gauge the whole classroom to see if everybody's understanding the topics, if they get the true and false correct, or if there's a whole bunch that are missing something. Then you can, once again, take a step back, do some review to maybe get them all back on track. And lastly here, the number 5 one on here on this placard is essentially a writing assignment, kind of, whether you do it in class or outside of class, but it's just, once again, almost like a assessment, but more of a summative assessment possibly. Throughout all of it, you're awarding points for the game process. So here's an example. If you look at this picture here, before I go into the kind of the example of some of the things going to happen, this is from a YouTube video that was actually really neat to watch. So if you just Google search whole brain teaching method, you may come across videos like this or other ones where teachers film their classroom, and you'll see that it looks blurry, right? There's a lot of hands in the air, and that's because there's motion. If you were actually in the classroom trying to take a picture, you probably would end up with photos like this, very blurry, because there's a lot of motion going on, a lot of activity. So it may start out with the teacher saying, class. The students respond, yes. Now, if the teacher sees a couple students who aren't responding, the teacher may ask again, but this time a little different. Class, class. Students respond, yes, yes. And this may go on until the teacher really knows that the students are all ready for the next step. So the teacher now is going to do one of those keywords. Mirror words is what they'll say. Students know to respond with repeating exactly everything now going forward, because mirror words means they're supposed to mirror it. So they'll respond mirror words. Here's where the teacher's going to start the lesson and ask a question. How does, and the students respond, how does, and now the teacher maybe continues that question. So instead of laying out a whole sentence of a question, maybe break it up into segments and get that repetition going on. And then it progresses into where the teacher may now say, okay, turn to your partner and teach your partner back and forth. And then you come back to the teacher, and it's this thing where it's a lot of activity going back and forth where the teacher says something, the students respond, repeat it, and it's a lot of repetition and mimicry. That's one of the key components, the mimicry. You know, kind of like parroting in a sense. But the repetition and mimicry really helps the students to learn the words and the topics. Then there's the hand gestures that connect that kind of stuff, key words that happen. All these different things are different parts of the brain working. Now, many years ago, I had heard someone say this idea that if you go into a lecture and you just listen, or you wouldn't even have to go into a lecture, you could listen to a podcast and just use your ears. Maybe you retain 10% or certain key words or topics that really interest you. Now, if you go to a lecture and you see it visually, now you're using a different part of your brain. You're seeing it visually. Maybe you see more things than what you're hearing, and that might be an additional 10%. Now, if somehow you get to verbally speak some of it, and you're hearing yourself speak it, that's a little more that you may retain, or 10%. And if you add in some activities of motions and things that connect all these together, it's just your brain is now working more than just listening, and that is the whole brain teaching method here. So advantages and drawbacks, I only wrote a couple down here. Obviously, you keep the students engaged and attentive during this because you're using keywords and phrases to get their attention and get them to respond where you see that they are responding. It's very interactive. It's energetic. It's fun for a lot of young kids. They seem to really like it. Then with that activity and stuff, there is little downtime for students to be disruptive. Like there's not really any pauses. If you watch some videos on it, or if you get to experience it in a live classroom, it's pretty quick paced, and it's fun, it's active, and a lot of just talking or noise, sound effects, things like that going on. It's really pretty neat. A couple of drawbacks though. May take time to initiate because you're going to have to teach some of those components to your students. However you do that, beginning of the semester or somehow, there may be ways to do this. Start with introducing them to a video to see how another class does it, then test it out, work through those little nuances to it. And then overall, this requires the teacher to be really on their game because it's so fast-paced and there's so many things going on that it's like, in a way, you are conducting a symphony, and you can't be dropping that, I think it's called a baton. You can't be, just taking a break because they're all focused on you as a teacher. I had seen one video where a teacher took this activity outside, and I don't think she had her note cards with her, for some of the things that she was going to do for her class. And there was a moment where she had a long pause and it just seemed like she had a brain freeze. But she got back on it real quick and it continued. So I just saw it as being, oh, yeah, there could be these moments where it's like, oh, if you just kind of, if you're not good at this, because it probably takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. Implications for the teacher. Well, like I said, teachers got to be on their game for this thing. I think it's only for in person. I don't know how you could do this activity online. I just don't see how that would work right now, the technology we have, unless we went to a virtual world where you're wearing goggles and it felt like you were really virtually in a classroom, which may happen someday. Then I feel like it's only, you pick one major topic and then there may be some associated ideas with that topic, but it's a lot of repetition of the topic over and over, and that's kind of what you really, the whole class is about. So let's say if your topic is the 50 states of America, you're not going to talk about all 50 states. You're going to choose 1, 2, 3, maybe 5. You're not going to be going through the whole 50 states of the United States. It's just too much to cover with this thing, because this is all about really repeating these things over, and then just the way it works. I don't think you want to have it so broad. And then what is the best age groups? Well, there are teachers teaching this with elementary level, middle school, high school, and I even saw some college classes doing it. I feel like from what I've seen, maybe it works best with some middle schoolers, but teach their own. I guess there's a lot of factors that go into it. So that is pretty much the whole brain teaching method in a nutshell. Like I said, I've seen a lot of videos online. There's a lot of opportunity to find information about it. Take 10, 20 minutes, watch a teacher in class, how they're doing it is a really good start. I hope what I just gave you today was some good background information about it. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe. I hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and excellent semester if you're out there teaching or if you're a student.